Well, we're gonna have them standing up here, so.
Yeah.
All right, right there, Chief.
All right.
Come on through, exactly. And, if you, I'll tell you what, Chief, you can hear.
Yep. Tall guy in the back. Yeah.
Maybe can we switch to Chief? What? See if we stand just on the other side of the sheriff. Everyone else can stand.
Hello, everyone. It's certainly my honor to be with you today, and we've got a remarkable undercover operation, Fool Around and Find Out Again. And we're going to introduce you to some of the big bosses that were involved in this. And by the way, for the big bosses who don't know, this is our NIA Academy. We have representatives from all over the United States. Part of their class was to be there to not only see the undercover operation, but the technology, and then to be here today to see how the press conference goes. Our focus was to rescue the victims of human trafficking and to also intercept child sex predators, pedophiles, deviants before they could get to children. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But first off, I want to introduce to you Florida's Attorney General, James Uthmeier. He's a dear friend of mine. He was the Chief of Staff for Governor DeSantis, and now he is our Attorney General, and we really, really, really like the support and the work that he does. He's going to speak with you. Then we have our Chief Financial Officer, Blaise Ngoya. He's here with us today. He was appointed to fill that position of CFO only 2 months ago. And the energy and enthusiasm that he has brought, the vision for the state of Florida that he has brought is remarkable, and we're glad that he's here with us today. And of course, my friend, my state attorney, Brian Haas, and I say my state attorney because I can tell you that I've had the opportunity to be the Major County Sheriff's of America president. I've had the opportunity to be the president of the Florida Sheriff's Association. So I've been around the United States. There's never been a finer state attorney anyway, any place, anywhere than Brian Haas. He gets after the bad guys. We arrest them, he prosecutes them. In fact, as we speak today, his prosecutors, for which I'm grateful, Mr. Haas, are having a lady sentenced to life for causing the death of one of my law enforcement officers. And because of your great work and that of your team, she was convicted as charged. So thank you very much, and she'll spend the rest of her life in jail for contributing and creating the environment that caused my deputy to be shot and killed in the line of duty. In addition to that, we will have speaking today, One Name, One Voice, Dr. Mary Ann Thomas, One More Chow will be Sine Dresler and Stacy Ham. We'll have speaking with us Heartland for Children, Katie Ann Parchment, our Osceola Sheriff and my friend Christopher Blackman, the Bloomington, Minnesota Police Chief, Booker Hodges. He's a dear friend of mine, and he's here. His team came down to participate and to learn. What's important to understand with these human trafficking operations, we were able to identify what we believe are victims of human trafficking. And as our goal, we have resources. Our NGOs are embedded with us so that we can immediately turn them over for services. And you'll hear more about that in just a few minutes. But let me give you the highlights of what occurred. There were 246 arrests in only a 7-day operation. 230 human trafficking arrests included 99 Johns, 111 prostitutes, and 20 other arrests. One of the things that I'm going to camp on and begin with my comments in a few minutes was the fact that we arrested 16 travelers. That's right. They were sexual deviants that thought they were coming to a home to have sex with a child. And many times, wonky, crazy, nasty, vile, ugly sex. Not that all of it's not with a child, but at a higher level. We're going to talk about many of them. We actually located 10 potential victims of human trafficking. Listen, folks, when I tell you that not only were 219 arrests from the state of Florida, 37 were from Polk County. Now, you would think of all the places, the people in Polk County would understand not to show up, since we do this often and we arrest 200 plus every time. But it goes to show, even in our county, there's still a few people that live under rocks. There's 11 other states that are represented in those that were arrested. The state of Washington, California, North Carolina, New York, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Georgia, Virginia, Texas, and Nevada. 26 of the people that were arrested were married. 18 was the youngest person we arrested. 67 was the oldest one. We also had people on government assistance. Now, I have to point them out. You know, our CFO is really interested in waste. Well, think about it. You, the hardworking people, were out making money, earning money, paying taxes, and they were being paid to violate the law. And I imagine there were more of them, but this is the ones we identified. Of course, we arrested 9 that had a military background. 1 was active Army, 5 previous Army in addition to the 1, 2 Air Force, 1 Navy, 1 National Guard. 15 firearms were brought to the operation by different suspects. One of the 15 firearms was stolen, and we recovered it. Of course, what would an operation be if we didn't arrest theme park employees? We had 2 from Universal arrested and 2 from Disney arrested. 32 people were charged with drug possession. 3 individuals had active warrants. 16 individuals had prior prostitution charges. And 7 of those were from previous operations we've done. They showed up again. They like us so much. They like the jail so much. They wanted to go to jail again with us. 2 of them were from the Fool Around and Find Out that we had just a few months ago. 2 of them came back for a second trip. Well, you know good and well that they got 2 brain cells, okay? And they used 1 on the first one and 1 on the second. They have 0 brain cells left now. March Sadness, 2 came back that we arrested in that operation. Operation Traffic Stop in 2023, we got 1 of those back. In Operation Fall Haul in 2022, I guess they have a short memory. We have those back. Now, some people would say, oh, they're not such bad people. Well, these folks had a total of 706 previous charges, 317 felonies, 389 misdemeanors. And we lodged against these folks new charges, 371 new charges. So let's go through really quick. I always want to start with our child sex predators. These are the nastiest of the nastiest. This is Trey Taunton. He's 40 years of age. He lives in Mineola in Central Florida. He's a psychological therapist, and he worked for family life counselors in Lake County. Now, let me tell you what makes him so scary. His job was to counsel at-risk children. And at-risk children are traditionally those that are the easiest and the most vulnerable to be groomed. Family Life Counselors has fired him. And before that, he was a swim coach at the Mount Verde Academy in Lake County, where he was around pre-K to 12, from pre-K to 12th grade. Now, I underscore, he did not work for Mount Verde Academy when this occurred. They fired him, or he left their employment in 2024. And you know what his profound statement was when he was arrested? My husband is going to divorce me when he hears about this. Well, not only does he hear about it, he gets to see it right here. He told the undercover male who was 15 that he loves oral sex and kinky sex. Now, this guy shows up at a house thinking he's going to have kinky sex with a child. Now, here's the interesting part. When he was working through a time, he called the undercover and said, my counseling appointment has canceled, so I can be there about 4 in the afternoon. I can get off work early. Well, he arrived and went to jail because we were there protecting the community. And then there's Christopher Williams. He's from Orlando. He's 31. He works for Positive Behavioral Solutions as a psychological and social rehabilitation specialist coordinator. I'm not sure what that means, but I do know what child sex predator means, and that's what he is. He was immediately fired. And he talked to the father thinking that the father was negotiating a deal for there to be sex with a little 13-year-old girl. He's charged with human trafficking. And we could tell by the way he conducted himself, this was not the first time he was in that position. And of course, this person did not actually travel, but he engaged what he thought was a child on the internet. This is Robert Hill. He's 56 from Lake Placid. He's a sergeant with the Department of Corrections. He had worked for them since 2019, so he was on the outside keeping people in, and now he's on the inside of the jail, and we're protecting children from him. And he's wearing this shirt that I really like. I used to be a people person, then people ruined it. Well, the reality, he was trying to ruin children's lives, but our detectives stopped that. He used extremely graphic language, very, very graphic language, and he was also trying to groom the parent to have sex with a child. And then there's Louis Macalino. He's 62 from Davenport. He's a CEO for Heritage Assisted Living Facility in Plant City. Now, I want you to think about this. The assisted living facility in Plant City Heritage, he's the CEO, and he's out grooming and trying to have sex with 15-year-old boys. He's been married 35 years. Oh, by the way, he resisted. But we do appreciate the fact that Louis' vehicle was paid off because we've seized that, and our plan is to use it in future operations to catch more bad guys. And then there's Jamel Jones. He's a manager of McDonald's. He wanted to have sex with a 15-year-old child. Why does he worry us? He's in a management position, a leadership position, and McDonald's hires a lot of kids. He confessed. And he also confessed that on a previous occasion, he had sex with a 17-year-old male in Osceola County. We have the very fine sheriff with us today from Osceola. His team's looking further into this. They did say he was polite. I guess McDonald's taught him well to take care and be nice. But he's in jail because he was trying to have sex with a child. And then there's Hugo Dos Santos from Kissimmee. He's 39. He's a legal assistant at Grand Vacations Timeshare. He's married. He said, oh, I hate this because now I'm not going to be able to adopt children. Well, duh. It's going to be difficult because we're going to try to send you to prison for a long time. He was extremely graphic, and wanted to have sex with a 15-year-old boy. Grand Vacation says they've suspended him, but they didn't say they'd fired him. I don't know. We don't allow cell phones in the jail or the prison system. I don't know how he's going to continue to work. And then there's Spencer Englehart. He's 26 from Mineola. He once again was talking to undercovers, thinking he was negotiating with a father to have sex with a 13-year-old female. He was very graphic. And then when we arrested him, he said he was doing his own investigation and he was going to notify law enforcement later. Wink, wink, nod, nod, right? Oh, he had a gun in the car. He was charged with human trafficking. But it's important to point out that that is the worst of the worst of the worst, because they're trying to attack your children. But let me go over this group. This is our human trafficking arrest, and we've just pulled a few of them out. Then I'm going to turn it over to our Attorney General. This is Jabaz Lowe. He's 24. He's from Poinciana. What's interesting about Jabaz is he was a member of the Orange County Sheriff's Office. He was a recruit and in the academy. Now, he didn't tell us that, so he lied to us during the investigation. I can't imagine why he didn't want to tell us that he was a recruit for Orange County Sheriff's Office. But you know what? Orange County Sheriff's Office came here and fired him really quick. I believe it's safe to say that his law enforcement career was over before it began, and he didn't get it. And it's shocking to all of us, because this is a guy that passed the background, the polygraph, and the psychological. He was an Army veteran. But the good news is we caught him soon when he was soliciting sex, because otherwise, had he been able to keep his composure, he would have been a law enforcement officer, but no more because of the great professional work. And then there's Kiera Marie Johnson from DeLand. This is a guy. He's 33. He's a DoorDash tech support as his employer. He wanted to have sex. Oh, by the way, we caught him in May in another operation exactly like this. He was adjudicated guilty. Our state attorney prosecuted him, got him a 6-month sentence, which is a sentence of probation, which is a pretty good sentence for a quote-unquote first-time offender, on September 10th. We arrested him on September the 11th when he came back. He's what we call a slow learner. But he's also in jail on top of this for a violation of probation. And Mr. Haas says, I believe we can deal with this guy. Now, you understand some of these deviants will not change their way, and the only way to keep them from trying to attack victims is when they're locked up in jail. That's the only way. Then there's Brittany Finney, 37. This was an online ad. She says, I do in-call only. And here's what she said in her advertisement. No affiliation with any type of law enforcement of any kind in any way, and F. Shady Grady. Now that just warmed my heart. She's got a long criminal history. She had 28 previous arrests. Sweetie, welcome to the county jail. Stephen Saul de Jesus Colon. He's 34 from Kissimmee. He's a former corrections officer for the city of New York. He currently owns JJ's Auto Towing, and he arrived in his tow truck. And he wanted to have sex with a female. So he arrived in his tow truck, and then we hooked his tow truck up to our tow truck, and we towed him back this way. And then after we got his tow truck out of the way, Then we put him in our van, and we took him this way to the county jail. Now, I guess maybe he had a friend or either a Uber, because he didn't have a tow truck to ride away from the county jail when he got out. And then there's Richard Gashaw. He's 54. He's from Dayton, Texas. If you're ever in Dayton, Texas, he owns Rooster's Bar there. But he was here visiting his mother, who was very sick and in the hospital. And even though he owns Rooster's Bar there, he wanted to come here and have sex with a woman. So let me picture this for a second, okay? He's married. For years he's married to this lady in Texas. She's probably there running the bar while he comes to visit his mother. That's what good wives do. And now he's laid up with a prostitute, or at least he tried to until we caught him. Well, I bet that made the old rooster cock-a-doodle-doo. Any old, I won't finish that. And then there's Way Mo from Oviedo. He says he's a nuclear engineer and he's self-employed, and he wanted to have sex with a female. We may be a nuclear engineer. We don't have any call for those at the jail, but hey, he may be able to learn a new trade while he's locked up in jail, like trustee, handing out food service or something like that. Then there's Samuel Dew. He's from Apopka. He's 43. He's a retired software engineer. He's a coder, okay? But as my guy said, he might have been a coder in software, but it didn't compute very well for him here. And he said, well, I don't like going to a bar to chase women. He just wanted to save money, just, cut right to it, just pay for it, and let's go on. What he doesn't understand is he was coming here, and many of his victims may very well have been the victims of human trafficking. Now, I want to camp one more second on this, illegal aliens. There were 46, I believe, illegal aliens that we arrested in this operation. Now, you would think if there was ever a time that you were in a foreign country illegally with a president of the United States and Governor DeSantis saying, if you're here illegally, starting with the worst first, we're going to deport you, the last thing you'd want to do is commit crime and draw attention to yourself. But they showed up to violate the law. Now, all of them have ice holes on them. Several of them have already been picked up by ICE. The others are with us until ICE picks them up. And ultimately, when they finish their business with Mr. Haas, then they will be deported. So it's nice that we were able to scoop up 46 in just 7 days. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to look out for the victims of human traffickers, and we arrested those. We're going to look out for the children. And now I'm going to introduce to you our Attorney General, who gets it, who understands that when we all work together and he ensures that we coalesce with each other and work together, that we can keep Florida safe and make Florida even safer. General?
Well, it's great to be here. Polk County and our great sheriffs doing what they do best, working together to combat evil and put bad guys away. Today, 240 or 40 plus arrests. But I think what's really significant here is that collectively, all these guys that are being arrested, they combine for over 650 prior charges. Charge after charge after charge, and yet they get out and they keep committing crimes. They keep victimizing people, victimizing children. We saw this recent case in North Carolina, this brutal murder on a train. Again, a guy that had been released 14 different times. Soft on crime policies do not work. I'll tell you what, you got a great state attorney here and our team of statewide prosecutors. We're not giving out get-out-of-jail-free cards. We're going to put these guys away for as long as we can. We're going to get them off the streets, and we're going to protect our kids. When I took the oath of office at the beginning of the year, I made a promise to Floridians that priority one would be protecting our kids, combating human trafficking, and getting as many child predators off the streets. And we've worked up and down the state with law enforcement, and we've done that. A record number of arrests, a record number of convictions. We will continue to get every one of these sick people off the streets. Parents at home need to wake up. In today's world with technology, evil people are finding new ways to get to your kids. It's real. This is proof of that. 240 plus arrests in one sting. And it keeps happening over and over and over again. The sheriff pointed out the large number of illegal immigrants in this case. You know, I don't believe 1 out of 4 or 5 people walking down the street is an illegal immigrant. But every time we do one of these criminal takedowns, there's a disproportionately high number of criminals that are here illegally. It shows the nature of what's happened under the open border policies that President Obama and Biden promoted. You've got drug trafficking, human trafficking, and tons of crime coming in through the border and impacting local communities across. Continued crime rates increasing, murders. And here in Florida, we got big cities. We don't have those problems. And it's not that hard to figure out. We back these guys. We back our law enforcement. We give them the resources they need. We support them. And ultimately, we arrest bad guys and we lock them up. And we're not going to let them out. So I appreciate the work of everybody here. Our prosecutors are going to bring the heat to put these cases to bed. Thanks to our sheriffs, our law enforcement, and Sheriff Grady Judd for having us.
Blaise Ngolia, Chief Financial Officer of the great state of Florida. First, thank you, Sheriff, for what you're doing and you continue to do. And I want to personally thank everyone here who has been involved in this operation. I wish we didn't have an opportunity to do press conferences like this. In a perfect world, we wouldn't have this situation. I will tell you that my office, we have a law enforcement division. Our office contributed hundreds of hours of man hours to get this done. So if they're listening to me right now, thank you for being involved in that also. And I will say this, is that if there is any law enforcement agency out there, Sheriff, you have my commitment. Sheriff, you have my commitment that if you are going to run these operations in the future, which I know that you will do, I am committed to helping you guys. So please call upon us to help you so we can continue doing this. I have seen these stings happen firsthand. As a member of the legislature, if you've tracked some of the bills that I've written and laws that I have passed, yeah, a lot of them had to do with spending. A lot of them had to do with illegal immigration, trying to stop this particularly from happening. But a lot of them had to do with protecting kids. We had written a bill, a law, that gave grants through FDLE to local law enforcement agencies, giving them the tools to run these sting operations. I had an opportunity to be inside the rooms with the detectives and law enforcement, communicating as if they were children. And the most amazing and disgusting thing happened as soon as they turned the switch on. They were getting flooded with offers to have sex with underage kids. And this is some of probably the most heinous conversations you will ever hear an adult have with a child. I'm seeing some of the heads bobbing in the front, so you've probably seen some of this. It is absolutely disgusting what our kids are subjected to. I'm going to talk to the people at home right now because I've seen this. They have seen this. Our AG has seen this. Our sheriffs have seen this firsthand. Protect your kids because you have no idea the depravity that is out there waiting to take advantage, take hold of your children, and to abuse them and turn their lives upside down. For things as seemingly innocent as a coloring book app, these kids are being targeted by online sexual predators for the purposes of destroying their souls. If you were able to see some of the things that I have seen, what law enforcement have seen, you would double and triple and quadruple the time that you watch your children, because they are unrelenting. We as parents, we need to continue being unrelenting. I'm going to talk now specifically to one group of people because I think this is very, very important. We have led on this issue at the state, and that is a lot of these tech companies are in a state of either de facto protecting these predators or just outright protecting these predators. It is very difficult for law enforcement to get the proof that they need to prosecute some of these online sexual predators in a court of law. And the reason being is a lot of these tech companies, social media companies in particular, don't get me wrong, some of them wind up with good relationships with law enforcement. They attempt to try to police themselves, but a lot of this stuff is now going away in the form of disappearing messages, in the form of encryption. These social media companies really need to be held accountable in destroying evidence. And I'm saying that I believe, in my opinion, they are destroying evidence. Because if you have a conversation with the 63-year-old man communicating with the 12-year-old boy online, when the 12-year-old boy is thinking that he's talking to his 14 to 15-year-old online friend playing some online games, and there's a 62, 65-year-old man grooming this person to have a sexual encounter with later, should be a slam dunk in a court of law. But what's actually happening is the social media companies are hiding behind privacy in disappearing messages so law enforcement can't get the information. And the conversation goes something like this: that is absolutely heinous. We're going to put that SOB behind bars. Show me the proof. And then when they go back to try to get the proof, the messages are gone. They're disappearing because now there's new disappearing messages on a lot of social media accounts. Social media companies should, in my opinion, stop the encryption of any message that has a minor account, so law enforcement can have the tools that they need to put these scumbags away for life. So with that, just want to reiterate, if you're a parent out there, watch your kids, because I think it's pretty obvious you don't know where they're coming from. You don't know what jobs that they hold. It may not be online. Protect your kids as if their lives depend on it, because it actually does. Thank you, Sheriff.
Just want to take a moment to recognize Sheriff Grady, Judd, for this operation. These things don't just happen. They're a result of a lot of hard work and dedication. And I see some of the folks in the room that worked the long preparation for this, the late nights all the way through into the morning. And there's a reason why we do this, and it's because of our victims and to protect our society. So it's an honor of a lifetime for me to serve alongside with folks like Sheriff Grady, Judd, and our wonderful law enforcement partners as we make sure that we do everything we can to keep our community safe. And we'll be back here again and again and again. This is not the last one. This is certainly not the first one. But, you know, I began my career as a prosecutor 25 years ago this month. And one of the things I learned very quickly was that there's not a whole lot of people that stand up for some of these victims. And oftentimes, when they become victims in cases, it may be the first time that someone has an opportunity to advocate and help them. And that's what we're going to do for our human trafficking victims, make sure we're doing everything we can to get them the services they need and hopefully get them on the right path to making sure that they have the best life that they can. So my prosecutors and I stand ready to pursue these cases, hold these defendants accountable, make them pay their debt to society, and ensure that we continue to have a great place to live, work, and visit. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Mark Brutnell, the FDLE Specialist in charge for FDLE Tampa. I'm honored to stand here today with these amazing professionals. I just want to also thank the investigative team. Great job on this. The state attorney mentioned it, a lot of long hours, a lot of investigative techniques went into this. To arrest 246 people, that's a big undertaking. Job well done. Commissioner Mark Lash with FDLE, our AG and our CFO, our Florida cabinet, kids are their top priority. They don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. And I want to thank you, General, for your support on that. I think one of the takeaways today has been parents, have those hard conversations with your kids. It's tough, but you have to do that. Set some guidelines and some guardrails to save your kids from monsters like this. If you need some help with those conversations, there's plenty of places to go. You can go to secureflorida.org. There's tips to have those conversations with your kids, but also the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children is a great resource to have those hard conversations. Again, I just want to say on behalf of FDLE and Commissioner Glass, excellent work. Thank you.
Good morning. My name's Mary Ann Thomas. I'm the founder and president of My Name, My Voice, and we are a network that bridges community service providers with law enforcement so that we reduce harm in these spaces. First, I want to begin by thanking Sheriff Grady Judd and the entire Polk County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Judd does something that many law enforcement agencies overlook. He connects service providers directly with the people who need them. That partnership matters. It saves lives, restores dignity, and creates pathways to real change. The recent undercover operation focused on human trafficking. Our goal was not only to identify victims and help them exit exploitation, but also to meet every person caught up in this operation as a human being. At My Name, My Voice, we believe everyone, whether victim, buyer, or seller, has a story, a history, and a capacity for change. Some people do need long-term confinement for the safety of society and children. Others, though, can change when given the opportunity to understand the harm they've caused and the trauma that shaped their choices. We hear people say, "It's my choice." But when the choice is do this or lose your home, we have to ask ourselves if that's really a choice at all. Trauma and desperation narrow options until they become chains. We exist to widen those options again with compassion, resources, and accountability. During this operation, My Name, My Voice spoke with over 180 individuals. Of those, several asked for follow-up services or referrals. In total, My Name, My Voice assisted 28 people with post-release needs while maintaining a sense of individuality within the holding area. Each of these small connections matters, because each one creates a doorway to a different future. This is why lived experience advocates are so important. Survivors know the terrain. We know how to meet people where they are without judgment, and we know how to bridge the gap between law enforcement services and human beings who are hurting. When survivors lead in these spaces, the work becomes more trauma-informed, more effective, and ultimately more humane. I want to personally thank the men and women I worked alongside this week. I appreciate what you do from the bottom of my heart. When I was being trafficked, I met good officers who helped change the path I was on. I know you all do that, quietly, every single day. The operation showed me again what is possible when law enforcement and survivor-led organizations collaborate. Finally, as we move forward, let's remember our guiding principle at My Name, My Voice, to be a bridge that elevates survivor voices and transforms support systems. When we center survivor voices, we reduce harm. When we treat every person, even those accused, as human beings, we open the door to real accountability and change. Thank you for this opportunity, for your partnership, and for your dedication to making Polk County a safer and more compassionate place. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Saini Dressler, and I serve as the Senior Director of Anti-Trafficking Operations with One More Child in the state of Florida. One More Child has served victims, families, and children for over 120 years, offering direct care service, prevention, and advocacy. Last week, our anti-trafficking teams joined the Polk Sheriff's Office on the ground each night during their most recent operation. I want to thank and commend Sheriff Judd and his team for their ongoing leadership and deep commitment for ending exploitation in our communities. They continue to be one of our most trusted and impactful law enforcement partners. They continue to be the strong leaders in the community that allow agencies like ours to meet survivors where they're at. That week, we were able to communicate with over 60 individuals, of which 36 have already accepted services. We were able to engage them in services such as emergency shelter, mental health counseling, survivor mentorship, and ongoing advocacy. Throughout the operation, our team was able to encounter people that were deeply vulnerable, living some serious, hesitation in their life, but full of hope at many times. However, many of them were just focused on surviving. We understand that not everyone is ready to identify as a victim in that moment, and that is okay. What's important is that we are present, consistent, and ready to offer support whenever they are ready to take that first step. At One More Child, we are committed to providing more than temporary assistance. We offer survivor-informed and long-term support, whether that journey begins during an operation, weeks, or even months afterwards. No one dreams of a life in exploitation. There's always a deeper story behind how they got there. Our role is to help create an opportunity for a new story to begin. Partnerships like this one are essential, but we know that we are only one piece of the solution. We need broader community engagement, tougher consequences for those who are fueling the demand, and a united commitment across every sector to say clearly and firmly, human trafficking will not be tolerated. Finally, I want to recognize the true leaders in this work, our survivor mentors and lived experience experts. These individuals bring a unique and irreplaceable perspective to everything we do. Their stories, their presence, guide us in the services that we're providing. At One More Child, we make it a priority to have a survivor leader during every operation because their insight is valuable and essential. It is now my honor to introduce one of those incredible leaders, someone whose strength, voice, and lived experience continues to inspire change every day. Please welcome Stacy Ham. Thank you.
Good morning. I would like to take a moment to extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone involved in the Polk County sting operation. Each operation serves as a powerful reminder that our work to fight exploitation and support survivors is far from over. Throughout this operation, our team was present each night, standing along survivors in their most vulnerable moments and offering immediate care and support. It's an honor for me and other survivor leaders to contribute our lived expertise to law enforcement, helping bring a deeper understanding and a more trauma-informed perspective to these efforts. As someone who personally experienced human trafficking, removal from my biological family, and time in the foster care system, these operations continuously remind me how deeply rooted cycles of exploitation can be and how so many are still caught in those cycles today. Many of the individuals that we encountered during the operation bravely shared their stories, describing how they were misled into exploitation through false promises of safety, stability, and better opportunities. Their stories echo the true reality that traffickers are continuously preying on those vulnerable, especially our youth, those who have aged out of the foster care system, and those who are simply trying to survive and be seen. This work is not easy, but it is so necessary. Every conversation, every connection, and every act of compassion plants a seed of hope, and it reminds survivors that they are not alone. I'm beyond grateful to be a part of a team that shows up with empathy, strength, and an unwavering commitment to helping survivors break these cycles. As a survivor, I have faced fears of speaking up, fears of not being believed, and fears of what might happen if I share my own personal experiences. But through it all, God has given me the strength to keep it going. Choosing to speak has brought me freedom, healing, and the chance to turn my pain into His purpose. My survivor story is just one of so many. There are countless others whose voices are waiting to still be heard, whose journeys matter just as much as mine, if not more. Each story carries pain, strength, and resilience, and together it's a reminder in the world that we are not alone. To any survivor who may be watching or quietly following along, please know that you are seen, you are valued, and your life does carry a greater purpose than the pain that you have been going through. If you are a survivor seeking support or need someone to walk alongside you in your journey, please know that there are safe people here ready to listen and be that support in your journey. Please know reaching out for support is not a sign of weakness. It's a courageous step towards healing and reclaiming your life. Only together can we continue to shine a light in the darkest places and create pathways to freedom, healing, and dignity. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Katie Ann Parchment. I am the program manager for the Prevention and Diversion program at Heartland for Children. Heartland for Children is the lead community-based care agency under the Department of Children and Families, and we oversee the child welfare system for Polk, Highlands, and Hardy counties. Thank you, Sheriff, for having us once again. Human trafficking is one of the most devastating crimes that someone can be subjected to. Victims are often left with deep physical, emotional, and psychological wounds that often take time, many years, to heal from. While Polk County Sheriff Department works diligently to investigate cases, rescue victims, and hold traffickers accountable, we are honored that we are able to walk alongside the Sheriff Department early on in this process to help victims start their healing journey. By working alongside law enforcement, we are able to provide specialized care and support to survivors need truly to rebuild their lives, from helping survivors to connect to emergency housing, social services, counseling, medical care, and many other services through a trauma-informed lens. Our organizations help to ensure that survivors are not just rescued, but restored. The men and women of law enforcement that work tirelessly to make this operation run smoothly are always an excellent example of professionalism, empathy, and determination. Together, we collaborate to create a safe net that supports victims and those at risk of being victimized by providing them with the tools needed to help distance themselves from their abuser. Together, we bring justice, compassion, hope, and community members to the community members of Polk County. If you are listening right now and you are being trafficked, please know this: you are not alone. You are stronger than your current circumstances. There are people ready and able to help you, believe you, and walk with you towards freedom and healing. Your life has value, your story matters, you are loved, and there is hope for a new beginning. If you or someone you know needs help, there are resources available in our community. The Florida Abuse Hotline, 1-800-96-ABUSE. The Florida Human Trafficking Hotline, 1-855-FLA-SAFE. United Way 211, and findhelp.org are just some of the organizations available to help families through rough times. We are honored to continue to strengthen our partnership with the Sheriff Department and community service providers focused on serving victims because together we can ensure that every survivor has a chance to reclaim their freedom, dignity, and a future. Thank you very much.
Hey, good morning. Chris Blackman, the Sheriff in Osceola County. First, I want to thank Sheriff Judd for hosting this press conference, CFO Blaise Ngolia, Attorney General James Uthmeier, and State Attorney. This is a mission from all law enforcement to eradicate our areas of these scumbags over here on the wall. And it says fool around and find out again. I'm going to say again and again and again for some of them because they're slow learners. But with that said, I believe that's more of a wall of shame than anything when you look at those people. To know that the ones over here, the child predators, are trying to seek out our kids and do massive destruction to their soul. I believe we are moved by the Holy Spirit and the Lord to protect these kids, and that's my mission as the Sheriff of Osceola County. We will do that in Osceola. A couple of our detectives are here that work these cases. They put in a lot of hours with the other agencies as well. And this is a mission from all of us up here, united across some state agencies, the sheriff's offices, and the prosecutorial services to protect the communities. So the crimes against the children are among some of the most serious and devastating offenses that a child can ever go through. By collaborating with other agencies, raising the awareness, we can better identify the offenders and protect the vulnerability of the communities. At the Osceola County Sheriff's Office is dedicated to expanding our role and our digital presence to make sure we find these monsters. What I'll say to a lot of the parents is this thing right here sometimes is your worst enemy, your cell phone. Why do I say that? You give this to your child, they add an application to their phone, you think is harmless, guess who's on the other end of it? There's a monster waiting to violate your child. I will say, it's been said before, protect your children. We can help you, but help us help you. Protect your children. Make sure you know what they're doing on their phones and their gaming systems, because some of these monsters will come through these phones and through these gaming systems into your house. And I'll say this to you, you would not normally invite them into your house, right? But when you hand your child this, and basically this becomes your nanny watch for your child, and this is your babysitter, the monsters are preying on your children. Make sure you know what your kids are doing. We grew up, parents were always involved with our child. Don't let this be your babysitter. Don't let the gaming system be your babysitter. Put checks and balances in place to protect your children. We're here for you. We're going to work our tails off with all state law enforcement and any law enforcement around the state of Florida. And as the governor said from the beginning, this is a law and order state. We're going to do that. We're going to serve and protect our communities with law and order. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Chief Booker Hodges from the Bloomington Police Department. First, I want to say thanks to Sheriff Judd for having us come down here. Bloomington, Minnesota. Sorry, we get Mall of America. We sent some of our detectives down here, and I want to apologize to them up front. I sent them down here during our 7 days of summer in Minnesota, so next time we do this, we'll make sure we send them down here in February or something. So how did we get here? There's this guy, and I'm imitating you, man, sorry. Michael Gillis. We arrested Michael Gillis in October, early 2024. He came to the house looking to have sex with a minor. He gets out of jail in Minnesota, comes down here to Polk County. He adapted his tactics. That's why we call him the Predator. He catches an Uber here, also looking to have sex with a minor. Unfortunately, he comes back to Minnesota in our neighboring city, and he's successful at having sex with a minor. He adapted his tactics, and he brought the kid to his house. And thank God, our federal partners up there, he is currently in federal custody, and he's going to be charged federally. We've got some issues to deal with, obviously, with some of our local prosecution, but I want my plan to land when I get back home, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut on that. I'm going to close with this. For some of you might not know, this is Tatu from Fantasy Island, and he would say, "The plane, the plane, the plane." All these guys here came here, thought they were coming to Fantasy Island, but unfortunately,